This will be fun.
Just before we get started, I just wanted to show appreciation for the fact that I own.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Just wanted to get out of the way first, you know, just because. So been there.
I don't know if you can see, but right there.
Yeah.
I have it framed. It's the only Power Ranger thing that I've just signed and dated and had framed. It's just the one copy. It's the only of that album. I only decided to sign one for my son.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
He'll have the only vinyl copy that's signed. Other than that, I sign other stuff, but that's the only one I wanted to do for him.
Is it just because it's just for your son? Is that why? Is that why you?
Yeah, just for him. So he has one thing.
That's Ron's way of saying, Tom, if we ever meet, I ain't signing your fucking vinyl.
So I
gonna...
wasn't fishing for it.
No. I know you weren't. I just remembered when I do Zoom, there it is, right there.
That's amazing. Is that beautiful print? Because there's only one pressing, isn't there? They're clear with all the yellow, red, and blue splatter on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Such a beautiful LP.
But, yeah, they did a really, really nice job.
Absolutely. And it's obviously just banger after banger on there, so you know.
Yeah, I was very happy that they did that. Because there's only a couple other things I've got from. I've got stuff that other people have. I think there's only one or two really unique things I have, like the original press kit that went when they were trying to get the press interested in Power Rangers. So it's just like an introductory little press box thing with a couple cards and stuff in it.
That's so cool.
Nice. Before we get
if
started,
it's still here, he may have already taken it to a pawn shop for all I know. I have no idea.
Well, I got like $10 for it. He's like, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, there we go.
Before we get started, Ron, I just wanted to double check. How do I pronounce your surname? Is it Wesser or Vesserman? I just wanted to.
It's Wasserman.
See, wasn't any of them. So there we go.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
I wanted to make sure I pronounced it right.
in the name. It throws everybody. So whenever I have to spell my name to this day, I'll go WASSERMAN.
Phenomenal.
Incredible.
Just to fuck people up.
Oh yeah. Why not? It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Incredible.
Especially now with COVID, you have to do whatever you can to keep your fucking sanity. You guys are on complete lockdown, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's since the start of January now, and they're reviewing it next week. I think it'll go. They're planning to take it into May. So it's just, I think.
Well, you guys are smarter than us, because in here, there's a recall for the California governor. And as soon as they got close to the 1 million signatures, he said, hey, our numbers are great. Our numbers have been the worst in the country. I'm outside of Los Angeles, but LA is the worst. And he said, let's open things up. So if I go, pick up food, because I'm not going in a restaurant yet, there's restaurants open and they don't allow inside dining. So what they've done is they've built the outside like a tent, but it's completely sealed.
So
and that constitutes outside dining now. And it's packed.
That's ridiculous. Like
packed.
Oh, people, eh?
People, eh?
What can you say?
Well, it fucks up the rest of the world because, and certain states, they're now dropping the mask mandate and saying, go ahead, just go out. Yeah. I think it was Wisconsin. That governor just starting tomorrow morning for Super Bowl, I said, no masks, everything open up, everything's fine.
Oh,
Christ.
Oh, my days.
Yeah, so I think the U.S. may be the super spreader now.
Oh, surely isn't Biden interjecting in any way, shape, or form?
I think he's going to. He's going to have to. He's going to have to sign an executive order and override everything.
Yeah, absolutely, because with this state by state, it's just not working out.
No, it never does. There's just stupid states. There's stupid people.
Absolutely, man.
They were all big Trump supporters. They loved him. Even as they're dropping dead and food costs go up and they have no work, he's saying, "Don't worry, things are good." And they're like, "Yeah, things are good. They're really not bad. They're not bad. I think he's great."
That was amazing. Oh, damn. Right, should we actually get down to some interview?
Probably should, yeah.
This has been the best start to a conversation I've ever had.
Yeah, we got right in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just apologizing in advance if your lockdown goes through 2023 because the U.S. just becomes this infested place. More so.
Oh, man. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. No.
Hopefully not.
Right. What we normally do is I'll just do a little intro and then we
Okay.
throw a bunch of questions at you. Simple as that, really. Sound
Oh.
good? Oh.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an absolute legend as far as I'm concerned on the show. If you're a child of the 90s like us, then whether you know it or not, today's guest shaped your childhood. Today's guest wrote many TV scores and themes, but two of those arguably the most popular iconic theme tunes of all time. And that is the X-Men and Power Rangers. Today, we are honoured to welcome to USUK Chronicles the legendary Ron Wasserman.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
We are wonderful.
That
How
was
are
a
you,
nice
sir?
intro. I feel very important now.
But you are, Ron. You've known this anyway, surely.
No, when I woke up this morning, I said, I'm not important, but now I feel important.
Oh, let's get down to the hard-hitting stuff. How has your last year been, sir?
Well, I always worked alone, so I haven't noticed that big of a difference with being locked down. But even it's getting to me. Like I thought it was a little bit crazy before, but now I'm going crazier. It's just weird. Actually, it's everybody around me because they were used to, they're very social. They worked in social environments, and I've kind of been used to working alone. So it's hard to see what people are going through.
Yeah.
So it's really been rough. And I have a 16-year-old boy, and it's been pretty awful for him. Everything's online.
Yeah, it's rubbish. I'm so sorry, man. For everybody, obviously, having to
for
go
all
through
of
all
us.
this. Yeah, it's just absolutely insane. But did you like learn a new skill or teach yourself anything new whilst being locked away?
I hike a lot more. I mean, I was mountain biking and hiking, but my
Nice.
hikes have gone from I'll get out and do 4 or 5 miles to now let's go out for 10 or 12 or 15 miles.
Beautiful.
And sometimes when we're out there, it's like, should we even go back?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Fuck it, I'm going. I'll see you later, guys.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
That's why we never bring food, because if we brought food, we might just go, you know what? Let's just sit here. What's the difference? Well, why not?
Yeah,
We live here now on this hillside. This is our new home now.
There's no one
You
around.
bring a little flag.
Oh.
Incredible.
How about you guys? Has it been? I know it sucks, but anything suck more in particular other than?
Well, I mean, I was furloughed for 10 or 11 months. I went back 3 weeks ago, but because the whole dynamic is, because I work in the travel industry, and the whole dynamic has all completely changed. So it's now like, we need all the money now. Give it all to it. Yeah. And it's a very toxic, very disgusting environment to be in. And then obviously you've got people who had holidays cancelled from last year that still haven't had anything back going, well, you're going to pay us back. And it's horrible, man. It is horrible.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I appreciate you don't have to apologise. So I got re-furloughed yesterday.
So he's happy again now.
Yeah. It's a really weird like mixture, because like I loved furloughed for about 2 months, hated it for the 8, wanted to go back to work, went back to work, loved it, then all of a sudden hated that really quickly. It was like, well, we furloughed again. It's just so, you just don't know if you're coming or going. And I just don't know.
That's confusing. I'm so happy to be back. I hate this.
Yeah.
Fired? How can you fire me? I fucking hate this job. You can't fire me. I'm not going to be furloughed. Call me. Call me.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh. So, take us back, sir. What made you want to get into a career in music in the first place?
Well, I'd started playing when I was 3, and then had my first little published work for the finger exercise book on piano when I was 5.5. And then I had kind of a dry period between 5.5 and like 27. It was kind of slow. But I never really thought about going into music because I didn't know anybody. And, you weren't really, back then you weren't really exposed to lives. It was just people on the radio, and you occasionally heard interviews, and they were all gods. So you thought, well, I certainly can't do that. So I focused a lot on photography and music. And then after high school, ended up at a place called California Institute of the Arts, which was run by Disney, doing photography. And after a year and a half, plus I didn't have the money to go to this place. So I was running out because the tuition was a whopping, this is 1981, there was a whopping $3,000 a year. Now it's currently $75,000.
Holy shit.
When I had $3,500 for a college fund. So I went there, but after a year, I remember the teachers, which were great. They all sat me down. They said, so your photography is good, but you spend all day in the ballet studio playing piano. Have you ever thought of music? And really, it was kind of a turning point, I think. I've thought a lot about this lately. And I think at that moment, I went, okay, I'll find a band to get in. So I started joining bands. And as I did that, then I just learned more and more about every individual player. And then as I started weaseling my way into studios to start writing and working on stuff, so all songwriting, I noticed that musicians are as reliable as politicians, but they're also drunk on top of it. So they're not only unreliable, but they show up. I said, did you listen? Are we ready to record? It's like, oh, dude, last night I was so fucked up and I didn't get to it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to learn it now. But do you have some water or something? My head's killing me. So this led me to, I started going out to clubs because of the bands I was in, no one famous, but I had access to anywhere in LA. So I would spend literally a month going out, watching bands every night, just watching the drummer, and then start learning how to drum, all done on a keyboard. Watch the guitar player, watch the bass player, really studied it so that I could be self-sufficient. So I was in bands and we almost were signed. And then I was with a gal who was signed on A&M Records, a lot of fun. And then one of the bands I was in, there was a guy who started working at a company called Saban. And in '89, he said, well, you're an engineer. I was a mixing engineer already. He said, can you come in and mix stuff for our composer? And I'm living on credit cards. I've got like $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt. And he called me in and said, will you engineer? And I did. And it was an 8-hour evening session. And that composer, we just chatted and talked for 7 hours. And then he worked 1 hour. For the 1 hour, he made $450. And I went, maybe I should consider this business. And it was because nothing I ever thought of. And then they hired me on full time. And it took me about 3 years to be broken of the songwriting format and learn how to score. Awesome. And then in walked Xmen, and then in walked Power Rangers.
Oh, dude, it's just mind blowing. It's amazing that you really like stick to it and whatnot. You can properly make it and whatnot. So like, what with photography then? I'm stumbling over my words. I'm so sorry. Let me start again. Why into photography? So why did you not want to leave? Fuck me, Jamie, take over. I'll stop.
I don't even know what he's trying to say.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I have no idea.
My brain
like
is
a musician.
I'm just gonna, I'm one of those drunk guys. Like, yeah, man, like, holy fuck, last night was amazing.
Do you want to try again?
Yeah, well, do you miss photography at all or not?
No, because the phone. No, I
Oh, of
take it
course.
home.
Yeah.
And if it looks bad, I mean, it's so great. I mean, when I was doing it, it was on actual film. So you had whatever those rolls were, I can't remember, 35 shots. So you're really working on it and hoping it turns out good. Now you say, well, I'll shoot 600 pictures of this napkin. Surely one of them's good. And that's why everybody's photography looks so amazing.
Everyone's like,
And people have perfected the selfie, girls with the selfie. It's like, okay, no cleavage, just enough cleavage, then clean up all the wrinkles, everything. I mean, everybody kind of looks like a cartoon character on photos, but it's, no, I still sort of do it.
Okay. I think it's one of those things where like if you go like on a date or something, you get the girls that have like cleaned themselves up. You go on a date with somebody, you go, hi, I don't know who you are, but I'm waiting for somebody. Like, yes, it's me. Like, is it? Where's your dog ears? Like, where's the butterflies around your eyes? What's going on? Mental.
You don't look 19.
So you're saying about beforehand you were in bands and stuff like that. I read you were in a band of E.G. Daily of Rugrats and Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah,
that's
she was. I was playing at a club, a final gig or near the final gig with this band that I was in, and she approached me. It was a place called Club Lingerie in Hollywood, and she said, my name's E.G. Daily. I'm signed to A&M Records. Not sure if she said I have a Billboard hit right now. It was a song called If You Want My Love, Say It, Say It. But she said, I'd love you to be in the band. And I said, great. So we met, and I ended up being kind of the musical director for the band. And it was super fun. We had a great time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. She wanted to focus more on acting. So the label didn't like that because the record labels don't like you to think at all. So you're here and we'll tell you what to do. Why are you eating that? We didn't tell you you could eat that. I mean, it's what they do. And so, but we had a great time. But the best part about that was, and I cannot, for whatever reason, I cannot remember who the guitar player was, but the drummer was Matt Sorum, who went on the Guns N' Roses.
I was going to say that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, and Matt Bissonette, who went on to play bass for David Lee Roth and a bunch of other people. So it was super, super fun. Fast forward to just a quick side note. So after Power Rangers hit and they did the movie and they decided that I wasn't going to sing the theme, which really pissed me off because they wanted a famous singer. So they got the guy from Mr. Big to sing it.
Is that who sings that? Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So they said, you're not doing it. We want somebody famous. And I was like, that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. I think the kids are going to love that. But they said, and your old friend, Matt Sorum, he'll be playing drums on it. And I said, oh, well, can I at least go to the session? I'd love to see him. And they didn't give me the right date or time.
Why?
So because they didn't really want me to walk in, because there may have been film execs and other people that may have looked over and go, why the fuck isn't he singing it? He did the original. So I wasn't in on that session. And then maybe 4 months later, I'm driving down Sunset Boulevard in my Honda, and there's this beautiful black Porsche Carrera next to me. And I look over and it's Matt Sorum. And I'm honking the horn. He's like, dude, pull over. And so we catch up on stuff. And he goes, oh, man, if I had just seen you 2 weeks earlier, we were hiring a keyboard player for Guns. It would have been $25,000 a week. And he goes, I'm sorry. I just, you probably could have got that gig. So that was a moment standing on Sunset where I'm just like, I could have been in fucking Guns N' Roses. I mean, that would have been a perfect band for me because the keyboard parts are kind of emotional but simple. It just would have been great.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. But that was the story of E.G. And then she still does acting and stuff, I think. I mean, she had to do very well with Rugrats.
Oh, yeah. Must have been raking it in with that show.
Classic
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So, what was the first TV project you did then after you got brought in?
I think it was Xmen.
That was
I
the
mean,
first one.
I was submitting for a lot of their direct-to-home video shows. They would buy like Japanese animation of Pinocchio, and then they'd clean it up, or Italian versions of it. And they'd have to clean the violence out of it, because in the real Pinocchio, he gets crucified and burned. I remember they said, so we got to cut this scene out. And this is a kid show in either Japan, which wouldn't surprise me, or Italy, which kind of surprised me, that they're showing, sit in front of the TV and watch Pinocchio get crucified and burned. But it is part of the story, apparently. So they'd clean these up and they'd say, do you want to take a crack at the theme? And I would do something that was just so fast, not rock, but really fast, just that created a lot of energy. And they'd always come back and go, that's really not what we meant. And they'd end up going with, somebody else would write something that'd be like a little oboe and maybe a vocal going, Pinocchio, Pinocchio.
What?
Meanwhile, I've had this wild, energetic, but not with a rock voice, right? So I got rejected on all that. At one point, so Xmen came in, and it was kind of a long 2-week collaborative effort, but it was, and then really, I didn't even realize the show was doing anything. My friend did sound effects. He said, yeah, it's doing pretty good at Fox. I've never really thought about it. I'd write cues for it, but I mean, I wasn't even aware of how big the show was until 20 years later.
I love that show as a child. Absolutely.
Because I wasn't watching it, and nobody was, the internet was just starting with American Online here. So I had no idea anything was going on.
I suppose I never really put any thought into that. Of course, this was before the internet, so how would you know, like, how beloved the show is? You wouldn't, would you?
No, people would actually write letters, and had they written, well, they wouldn't have known it was me, because, Haim and Shuki took all the writer's credit, which was fine. That was the deal. But you wouldn't know about anything you ever wrote, even if somebody wrote a letter.
Because, it wouldn't go to, that's insane.
That's crazy.
And they're going to write to the actors or the animators anyways. They're not going to write about. Same with Power Rangers. Had no idea. I knew it was big, but I had no idea how big it was. Or Dragon Ball Z. That took 20 years till someone went, you did the first, I didn't write the theme, but I did the score.
Yeah.
And people went, you worked on that for the first 2 years, I think. And I said, yeah, how do you know about it? They're like, it's a cult classic. I said, oh, honest to God, I had no idea.
That's nuts. That is absolutely mental.
Said, maybe I better add this to the resume. People apparently know about the show. It's true.
But when it comes to the themes then, so for Xmen, for example, do you have an idea of what you want to do, or do they go, we have this idea, can you do something like this, or do you get to go do your own thing?
In Xmen, it was incredibly specific, because that guy I'd been in 80s bands with, that was now head of music at Saban, came in and said, I have this thing that I've written. It should be this bass line, but we'll change it like this. And here's no one's really sure about the melody. Because it was so long ago and I didn't think about, and then there was a lawsuit that came up about it. So I had to really rack my brain and try and figure out who wrote what. And it became cloudy as to whether Ron Kanan was his name, whether he and I wrote it together, whether he hummed it to me, but it seems like something I may have come up with. And the lawsuit was just a joke. It was as ridiculous as saying, I'd been on the moon with Neil Armstrong without a mask and found a rock that had some music written on it. It's crazy.
It's some Hungarian guy, wasn't it? I was going to ask about it.
Yeah, about a show. It was insanity, the connection, which maybe they believed that they thought there was, that all of us had heard this Hungarian thing.
Some TV show called Linda, I believe I read it was called.
Yeah, right. It was called Linda. Plus, they had mentioned that I probably had heard it or heard it from other people in the late 80s before I knew these people. So there was a whole story on how I was hanging out with people I hadn't met yet.
What the fuck?
Oh, it was great. It was far-reaching, very far-reaching.
Just so I was like,
and it all went away.
Good.
It just went away.
Does it sound the same? Have you actually heard the theme song to Linda?
I heard it, and there's definitely you could see where there's a coincidence. But Linda's theme is a takeoff on the Perry Mason theme from the 60s, which somebody brought to my attention. They go, listen to the theme for Perry Mason. I listen to that, I go, because Perry Mason theme goes, ba-da-da-da-dum-bum, ba-da-da-da-dum-bum, ba-da-da-da-dum-bum. And that's the Linda theme. So it's just one of these things where, and it happens all the time, stuff just sounds the same. And it's coincidence. I mean, there's just so many melodies.
But yeah, there's only
in the
so
world.
many arrangements in the world.
Tweak it, yeah. And now, of course, you listen to the radio like, I know that song, but it's a different singer and a different song, but it's the same melody.
That's insane. Absolutely.
It's insane.
Can you, obviously you said, like, can you remember much about the process behind the X-Men film? Or was it literally just so long ago? It's like...
that one's a blur. Plus, I just wrote it off because it was a bad experience because there were constant notes on fix this, bring this up, turn this up, but mainly it was more hi-hat because they wanted that. And they're like, I can't hear the hi-hat. So we're stacking hi-hats. We're running two 24-track machines. So we have 46 tracks because you have to line one track with SMPTE code, time code, so they lock. And there was just so many tracks on that thing. And they'd say, well, now I can't hear the kick. Put up the kick. Well, now the bass isn't punchy. Bring up the bass. Well, now the kick's gone. So every mixer does this. Every mixer. They all have what's called producer faders. And they do nothing. And you label them as kick 2, hi-hat 3. And you say, well, why don't you just come over and move the fader up until you hear it? And it's all psychosomatic. And so they'll push up that kick fader. They're like, now I'm feeling it. Like, I'll lock it in automation and it's a go. And you route your meters so that it looks like they're actually doing something, but it's in their heads.
That's insane. It's quite.
That's what I remember, the hell of getting the final mix approved on that. And I think even at the end, they went, we have to be done with it. This is good enough.
It's kind of funny and kind of bad in a way. Like people love this theme song. So people are like, Ron, you wrote one of the most iconic theme songs. You're like, yeah, that was a fucking nightmare. I hated that.
It was a nightmare.
So
yeah, that one was rough. And I believe too that we were still mixing, even though it's sort of stereo, but we were mixing in mono because most of the world still was listening to everything in mono.
Mm.
So I'm pretty sure that there may have been a stereo mix and a mono mix. And as soon as you go to mono, which you always check your mixes that way, everything that's bad becomes painfully obvious and certain sounds just disappear. Which is why I've always loved those 60s guys, those mixes that are mono. How they were able to get any depth out of something that's just coming straight at you is just remarkable. So yeah, we had to deal with that too. And it was on tape, so it was slow because you have to rewind 30 seconds prior to where you want to punch and then wait for the machines to lock up. You're staring at this thing like, turn green, turns green. You're like, now we can record.
Oh, God, you don't even think about things like that, do you? Especially in these days, you're just like, well, this bit, there you go, done.
Oh, yeah. Now you're like, oh, I have assembled a singer's one word out of 5 takes. The word, if the word is pleasant, you're like, oh, well, I like the P and I like the and then you put it together and you do crossfades and it comes out sounding like that. But now they don't do that because now they just throw an auto tune so hard that if somebody's even in the ballpark, it's just that note is forced like an organ, like hitting an organ note.
Everyone's a fucking musician these days now, aren't they, with that auto-tune shit?
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, Power Rangers is probably what most, you're most known for. And
Right.
I read somewhere you were given 1 day to complete that theme song. Is that right?
Yeah. And I did it in 2.5 hours because
No
I didn't
way.
want to do it.
Because you didn't want to do it.
They didn't want to come in. The thing is, I was working on a song for the band, wasn't named Fisher yet, with my wife that I wanted to finish. And there were certain times I would come in and I'd have some stuff to write or mix, but I had free time to do what I wanted. So I definitely remember they came in and said, we need a theme for this show called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And the only thing is, I remember they said, Himes had a lot of luck with the word go, if that helps you at all, with Inspector Gadget. When he wrote Inspector Gadget, he likes the word go. And I went, okay. And I remember then they all went home because I worked at night. And I remember calling the head of music and going, morphin, not morphine, right? And he goes, yeah, it's morphin.
Oh, in a very different show.
I go, okay, so it's that. Because that would have been funny. I really fucked it up if I had sang Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
They're just injecting themselves.
Yeah. Let's go!
Let's say they get through to the next fight.
Yeah, that'd be good. Billy, you can't find the main line.
Oh dear.
So yeah, they came in. I wanted to get it done to work on the other song. And so literally from, okay, I'm going to write this, to that, from we need it to that final, what was sort of a rough mix. It was never ever touched again. And doing the vocals, which I'd never really sung on anything like that. I just found that voice, and I found that by gargling, this I knew because I was I'm screaming through my voice, through my throat. By gargling ice cold Diet Pepsi, it would like get rid of the pain, and it would tighten up my vocal cords a bit so I could hit the high notes, which the high harmonies on the original theme are generally in the ballpark of what the note was supposed to be. So, but they're in there and they're layered. So I did it and I didn't think about it, and I started working on the other song. And then the next day they called and they said they love the theme. Fox heard it, they love it. And I said, who are you thinking to get to sing it? And they go, no, Fox loves it. It's done. You're the singer. And I went, oh, cool. What am I working on tonight? That was it.
And it became one of the most iconic theme songs ever.
Yeah, it was that simple. Then I would hear stories. They did test marketing, played it for kids, and they said the kids were going crazy. And because they bring in kids and they give them $20 and pizza. And they said they started like throwing pizza at each other. They're all hyper during your thing. I'm like, hopefully that'll be a good thing. Okay, good.
That's phenomenal.
And then it took off, and as it got bigger, the workload got heavier because now I was the main composer. And so I was already doing 40, 50 hours a week. Now I'm up to 80 hours a week and just cranking out the score, Power Rangers, and then comes Sweet Valley High. And we have this other thing, and we need a sizzle reel. And one of the producers' son is getting bar mitzvahs to do a version of the theme saying, go, Jacob Wasserman, just whatever. It's just constant work going on. I was just slammed. It was great.
That's amazing. It's like literally
I was just
one
nonstop.
song.
Yeah. That really kicked it off. I do not know what went on between Xmen. I know I did some of the score for it, maybe a lot, but that time of what I think now is a year between that Power Rangers is a bit of a blur. I may have been scoring a lot more for home video stuff. I have no idea.
So with the Power Rangers, though, it wasn't just the theme song, was it? Obviously, there's tons of songs that were done for the fact they released the album. I know Go Green Ranger Go is one of my favorite songs ever. I'm singing it all the time. Great. But how did that come about? They basically turned around and went, Ron, we need all these songs for an album.
No, they said we need we're thinking of putting songs in the show. Do some songs.
That's amazing.
I went, So the first one was Fight, or was it Combat or Fight?
I think it's Fight. I can't remember.
I think it's Fight, then
Fight.
Combat. And then I was on a roll, and as I've said before many times, all of these songs, I'm not sure about those initial, but almost every song in there is about something going on personally. So the Fight was maybe, because that was still cool, but as the tension was growing a bit at Saban, as I was working more and more, yet they were keeping me very hidden from the rest of the world because they didn't want anybody to come pluck me away. And they were also, not Saban himself, but some of the upper management, they were not the kindest people in the world. So they always wanted to keep you in your place. So a lot of the songs are directed a little bit of anger towards them. And then there's songs like I Know a Place, which is about a pub around the corner from Saban, where all of us at post-production would try to meet at 10 o'clock at night just for a few beers, and then we'd all walk back and work. And then there's, and then the violence started happening with kids listening to the music. So the music started getting blamed for violence.
Really?
But Haim Saban was really good friends with the Clintons. So one day there had been a couple brothers somewhere, I think maybe in Norway, that were listening to Fight and were kicking their sister, and they kicked her to death. They killed their sister.
What?
And so the heat came on the Saban hardcore of the music is causing children to be violent. And I said, get me on CNN with the parents, and I guarantee you in 5 minutes, people will go, those parents are fucked up. They did not do a good job with their kids. There's no way this song did that. They said, yeah, we know, but the White House, I'm pretty sure it probably came from Gore and his wife, Tipper Gore, who was very opposed to rap lyrics and trying to set all these restrictions. They said, from now on, no words like fight, nothing that incites violence, no minor chords. It was kind of like what the church did in the 16th century, where they went to composers and said, that minor chord or that run, it incites the devil.
Oh,
so everything had to get a smile on it. So I just shifted gears slightly, and I turned it into more uplifting stuff. I didn't really mind. I was very kind of flattered that I got all the way up to the top of the political food chain with a comment telling me to change what I was doing.
That is insane.
So what happened with the Lord Zed theme then? Because obviously Lord Zed, wasn't he branded too evil as well? They had to bring him up a little bit to make it not so scary.
Yeah, well, I think the music stayed the same, but I'm sure if they had lines, they probably said, maybe be a little friendlier when you say I'm going to eliminate you from the universe. Let's do that with a smile. Let's lighten up on this stuff. And I know Haim Saban himself was going on interviews saying, I grew up watching cowboys and Indians. I didn't go out and start shooting people in the desert. This is ridiculous. And I would go on and say, if your kids are getting violent because they're watching somebody throw invisible exploding devices at a giant latex pig that is so low budget that it doesn't even have a mouth that moves unless he wiggles. And then your kid maybe shouldn't have been born.
And that's why they didn't let you on CNN.
Exactly. That is exactly what I would have said. I know people would have been laughing like we are, but it would have pissed off somebody. Like, he said my kid shouldn't have been born.
Yeah, but he's right, Terrence.
He is right, honey. I know.
We don't say it out loud.
We don't say that. Bless his heart.
So I read somewhere that Saban asked you to come up with a different name as well. Is it? Oh, cool.
Well, I was spending so much time alone, and the way I'm a producer, so I kind of yell at myself because it's so much work. Again, I'm running two machines. It takes forever to lock, And if I'm doing the high part and I would like blah, 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 lose a word or something, I'd be like, you idiot, let's go back and do it. I'm very hard on myself. I'd never work with me again. So I decided, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my middle name, Aaron, and Wasserman means waterman. So I'm going to come up with Aaron Waters, and this is the guy I'm going to produce, this idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. So there were these two characters in my head. There's that. So I remember telling, again, head of music, I said, so Aaron Waters is now the singer. And they actually went, that's a good idea, because now we can even make it more convoluted on who's really doing this shit. So Aaron Waters isn't even somebody that can be traced, so we'll make it Aaron Waters. And that was great. And it worked well and it sounded cool. Then one day I see the Mighty Raw. And I went, what's this? And they said, well, that's now the artist's name. Aaron Waters is the singer, or there's the Mighty Raw. And I'm like, who is this guy? Why are we adding another person? And to this day, people go, oh, I thought that, yeah, I always wondered. I thought that, I don't know. I didn't understand what that was. I said, well, that is when something is really big and there's somebody that's very overpaid for their position, which we all know this happens. And they're sitting around and going, I don't really contribute. I have to think of something to do. I'm going to just mandate this incredibly stupid thing, and then I can take credit for it. And that's what it was. I fought that one like crazy. I said, plus, really, let's just say, I wouldn't mind anybody walking up and going, are you Aaron Waters? But if anybody ever walks up and goes, are you the Mighty Raw? I'm going to go, no, I'm not the Mighty, I'm not 4. It sounds like a 4-year-old. Like I should have a little cape and a helmet.
Is either a 4-year-old or you're actually a gangster rapper?
Yeah, it could be. Fuck yeah.
Mighty Raw coming in hard, boys.
When you hear my Disney rap Mystic Rangers thing, you'll see that I am a badass. That'll show you. You'll be like, whoa, Dr. Dre should get him right away. It's another Eminem.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So what other Saban projects that you did stand out to you? Because obviously you must have worked on so many more things.
Well, Sweet Valley High, which
Such a
was,
tune.
and that was my, we're now divorced, but that was my, were we married yet at the time? I don't know. That ended up being my wife. She sang that, and I had to beg her to do it. I said, just come in and sing it, because the gig paid like $150, a buyout for the singer. And I finally got her to do it. And luckily, somebody heard that. And so she ended up having a 10-year run with commercials.
Oh, wow.
And it all originated from that Sweet Valley High thing, because she has a great voice. So I got a call one day and they said, do you know the girl who sang it? We want her for a Comcast commercial. It was a cable company in the States. And she ended up getting that gig, and then Coke, and then this, and then I got sucked into it and started writing. But as the music writer, you don't make shit. The singers make all the money in commercials. I don't know how it is now, but probably the same. But she just cranked. It was great.
I don't remember the show at all, but I remember that theme tune.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It was a great
I
theme.
like that theme a lot. It's a little echoey. I've listened back to it now and I'm thinking, man, my ears must have been a little, it's just a little bit washed out in reverb. But other than that, I like the theme a lot.
Another one that I remember is VR Troopers.
But I didn't write the VR Trooper thing.
Did you not?
I think I was probably busy. Or I may have said, it seems to me, and again, so long ago I can't be clear, it seems to me I was saying, we are VR is a great line, use that.
You were accredited with it. Well, from what my research said, anyway, you were accredited with the theme song.
Oh, well, good. I'll take it. No, but I don't remember actually, and I don't think that's me singing it.
Wow.
And
Okay.
frankly, well, maybe it is. Oh no, it is, right? We are VR.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah.
Oh shit, maybe I did.
It's your
write
career,
it.
on.
I mean, I know, right? The show went away so fast. I remember scoring the initial like 10-minute presentation for that they were making to Fox, I guess. and that would have been prior to the theme. After that, I just remember looking at the show sometimes and saying, well, I hope it goes, but personally, I would have done something completely different as trying to be the next big show. I wouldn't have tried to kind of do something sort of like Power Rangers. I would have bought a different property and pushed through something completely different. So it was kind of doomed out of the gate.
There were quite a few, I think, weren't there? Because I think Beetleborgs is another one that they did, or someone did, that tried to be a very similar sort of thing. And
yeah, I
it did not
remember that Beetleborg footage. I'm like, I hope you didn't pay more than $5,000. It was horrible, just horrible.
I just remember looking at it going, what is this?
Yeah. Like, I could just hear Saban going, is it Japanese? Is it old? Is it cheap? I'll take it.
So what led to you leaving Saban in the end? And was it just a ridiculous workload?
Yeah, it was a ridiculous workload. And because there was, all the rights were taken, I went in and I said, I want a third of the writer's share, which is roughly, it's not even a third of the back end royalties. It's like, it ends up being realistically around 10, 11%. And I figured, I've done so much. Surely he'll say yes. And he said, no. And I said, I've got to move on. And it really comes down to that. Plus I was exhausted.
I can't
imagine. And probably at that point, if Haim had said, let me think about it for a month. And during that month, I'm going to send you to the Four Seasons in Maui. You and your wife, just go there, hang out, don't work for a month, get some rest. It's all on me. And when you come back, and I would have come back after that month and he would have said, I'm not going to do it. I would have felt so guilty that he just paid for me to spend a month and I would have been all rested up that I probably would have said, oh, that's cool. I'll stay a couple more years. But instead it was just a hard no. And I didn't argue with him. He was very polite. We always got along really well. And I said, well, then I'm leaving. And I figured, surely he won't let me leave.
He did.
And he did.
And I left.
Wow.
That was it.
We'll just open the door for you. He's like, see you then. Cheers then, thanks.
I was just out.
That's ridiculous.
And then I did work for them at home. That's why I did Dragon Ball Z at home with a 19-inch tube television, Mac Classic computer. It was only MIDI and a VHS player. And I was scoring to that and then would just bounce the mixes off. It was a ton of work. It was hard to get it to line up. That's why there's these giant ambient and building swells in that score. It's not so much hitting everything to picture because that was hard enough to do back in the day anyways, but to do it at home would be really difficult.
Damn, dude.
I can imagine with the technology of the day, and especially, working from home now, it's easy, but, back then, Jesus.
It's unbelievable. I'm actually setting up a new system. I've been, I used to have a giant desk back here with all the rack gear. I mean, it really looked like a studio there. And I got rid of that and downsized, and then I went to an iMac Pro. And now I'm replacing, with Apple's new chip, the M1 chip. I'm replacing that iMac Pro that's blowing out to the fastest you can get with a Mac Mini that is about 20% faster than that.
That's mental.
A little Mac Mini. Right now, I'm on a 27-inch 5K monitor coming off of their new little MacBook Air.
Yeah.
That is almost as fast as this computer. I have sat at somebody else's house with a keyboard and scored like an orchestral mock-up on a laptop that doesn't even have a fan in it, and it just handles it.
What?
So the technology has come a long way.
That's insane.
And over the years, I've easily spent, which is now gone, easily $400,000 or $500,000 on gear because I needed to have this compressor for vocals. And now you can get the plug-in for $70, what used to be $3,000 or $4,000 of a rack mount thing. And you'd have to keep notes and make marks, and it was a pain in the ass.
It's mad how much technology has changed. Absolutely mental.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I love it.
Mind blowing.
And imagine how screwed we'd be this last 12 months without it.
Well, yeah.
Oh, my days.
Yeah.
So when you left Saban, is that when you decided to focus your attention into Fisher?
No, actually, I got picked up immediately to score games through a friend. And so, yeah, it was about 2 weeks later. He said, I'm working at a company. They're a startup, and it's run by a guy named Bob Ezrin. Bob Ezrin produced all the Pink Floyd stuff and Alice Cooper. And I'm like, well, good. If I get notes, it'll be from an actual producer instead of somebody who's like, I don't know, more hi-hat. So I think the first thing I scored for them was Tamaguchi. Now these were MIDI files, and it was they were CD-ROMs for PCs. So they'd say, we need something for when this event's going on, and I said, how much memory do I have? And they said, I can't remember, I think like 12 kilobits. So write something, we can loop it, but it has to be a 12 kilobit file. I mean, it's nothing. They're MIDI files, but there's just zero, almost no memory. So I did that, yeah. So you write these things that trigger the sound card in the PC, and it sounds horrible, but you learn how to make it sound good. And I did that, and then I can't remember what was next. I think Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and then Monty Python. I did Holy Grail, and I can't remember the other one. I got to work with Eric Idle and Cleese. They came in to do voiceover stuff. I mean, they weren't telling me what to do on music, but I got to hang out with them.
I think
it was very funny. What's that?
I think I had those Monty Python video games.
Yeah, they did really well. Unfortunately, when you have creatives managing a new startup, they throw some great parties. I mean, I'd show up to parties. They're like outside with thousands of people. So anyways, they went broke. Meanwhile, I was starting to score stuff for Deke Entertainment, and I was doing a lot of commercials and working on the Fisher stuff.
I take it when you left Saban, sorry.
It was, yeah, after Saban, it was video games, commercials, Fisher, Deke Entertainment, and anybody else who would call and say, it was just endless. The phone was ringing off the hook. It was great.
That was going to be my question. I was going to say, was it literally just everyone bombarding the hell out of you, being like, we want this and this and this and this and this? Like, oh my fuck, yes, I'll do all of it.
Yeah,
I'll do it all.
Yeah, it was yes to all of it. I mean, through Bob Ezrin, he goes, I want you to drive up to this address and go meet with this guy. He's looking for somebody to mix his stuff. And I go, who is it? He goes, you'll know who he is when you get there. So I get there, and I remember I hit the code keypad. It was a gated driveway. And I'm like, I'm Ron. I'm here. Bob sent me. He's like, okay, come on up. I'm like, I don't know who that is. And I get up there, and it's John Anderson from Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
And so we kind of hit it off. And so I spent 2 years, 5 days a week at his house, recording him and doing these 2 indie records with him.
That's insane.
Yeah, we had a great time, and these musicians would show up, these brilliant musicians, and famous people would stop by. It was so fun. It was just so fun. So I was doing that, and then working still on some Saban stuff and Fisher. I mean, I went all day and all night.
Incredible.
That's mad. I love that you left Saban because it was so much work, and then you went, you know what I'm going to do now I'm free? I'm going to do loads and loads of work.
I'm going to do more work. But at least when I was doing it, they didn't call and say, as composer, they didn't, on the other step, they didn't go, well, your credit's going to be barista. But I'm the composer. Barista. Yeah. That's what I had to work to get you that credit, Ron. I had to work. You know what they wanted to give you? Barista's assistant. So that never happened again. So that was good.
Oh,
But that was the whole reason I left. It wasn't a matter of like, I want money and I want credit. It had nothing to do with that. It's just, that's the right thing to do. That's how the business used to work. Now it's horrible because companies like Netflix are saying, oh yeah, we'll buy that theme. They're starting to buy everything out now. They're not doing it with everybody, but slowly but surely Netflix, every project they have, they will own all rights to the music 100%, not pay one dime on the back end.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
So that part of the business is dying.
Which is a shame.
So,
because
because
It's a shame.
well, fuck. Did you ever think that from when you were a child that your life would ever get to the stage that it's at today? Did you ever think that you'd be here where you are today?
I didn't even dream about it.
Wow,
It
man.
wasn't even a thought. I mean, some kids, they're playing guitar or piano and they dream about being a rock star. My thing was, and our family was very much day-to-day survival. We weren't like in the gutter, but we were piss poor. We had just enough to cover, and then we had family members that would step in and help out if we couldn't buy groceries. That's what I grew up in. So my goal was just to do something in life where I could possibly make $30,000 or $40,000 a year. And to me, that would mean I had no idea how I could possibly do that, because that's what doctors were making, I thought.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that. So as other stuff came, and none of it's ever been done for the money. It's been done because I love the project. Never once. Because as soon as you start thinking about just the money, you're not going to do a good job.
Yeah, you become an absolute asshole as well.
Yeah. That's why I've stayed so sincere. That kind of money never happened. But that's okay. Doesn't matter.
As long as you love it, doesn't matter, does it? As long as you're happy. It's all about being happy, I think. That's how I live my life. Is as long as I'm happy, I do not give a shit what I do. I'll clean pavements with a toothbrush if I have to.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. Several friends, they are just waiting. They're like, oh, another 5, 6, 7, 10 years, I can finally stop doing this shit every day. I'm like, wow, I've never ever felt that way. I have no plans of ever stopping. Even if I'm just writing for myself, it's just I've always loved it. And I like staying on the very edge of technology. It's fun. I love it. Every moment of it.
it's amazing. It's good to hear that someone enjoys what they do, though, because like I say, it's you do it all day, every bloody day. You might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, and I've done everything. I fixed business equipment. I've been hired for months to count magnets in a magnet warehouse. I've worked graveyard shifts, steam cleaning carpets at restaurants. I've been a busboy. I mean, I did anything to survive until I could finally. And so I was terribly in debt when I started at Saban, and I only got out of debt about 2 years after being there. I mean, I had so much credit card debt, it was ridiculous.
I mean,
and I was almost homeless. I've actually went shopping and ate while shopping and then left the market. I mean, it was pretty, I was never really sad about it. I was just a little nervous.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd end up in the street, but you get nervous when you're thinking, wow, I'm going to be tortillas straight on a stove with turning the fire on it so it burns and putting butter on it, and you're living on that for a couple weeks. And you don't feel very good when you eat like that.
I can't even begin to imagine, man. No. Well, incredible how far you've come. Absolutely incredible. You do what you do to survive, don't you? So
yeah, you do what you have to do, and then if you're lucky enough and stuff starts to happen, you never forget that. Never. So never. $1 comes in, it's like only going to spend 50 cents of it. That's it. Because the next storm's going to come, the rainy day is going to come. Yeah, it's inevitable.
And now here you are, having scored 2,845 episodes. Just
now it's better.
Is that
and because I was frugal, or as most people would call cheap. I'm not like cheap, but you know what I mean. Like I tip really well. I'm not this guy like, my coffee was cold. I'm not that way. But because I was conservative when COVID hit, I didn't go back with my son and say like, you're gonna love tortillas and butter. I mean, we didn't have to do that. You know how you thought we weren't eating well before?
Has the pandemic had quite a major hit on you at the moment with the jobs you're doing at the moment?
It is. I mean, I'm working on, and I have been for 3.5 years. It'll come out later this year. A video game. I still write for library stuff.
Okay.
For shows. So there's still work, but I had a couple of pilots that were about to be shot mid-March last year, and they got shut down. And a majority of the people I know have been out of work. Some have work. Some shows are being shot, but a lot of stuff is brewing. They're just kind of waiting. Everybody's waiting because in this country, nobody's clear on what's happening.
Mm.
We don't know when we're going to get it. They lost 20 million doses. They don't know where it is. And
what?
Yeah, they misplaced it.
What the fuck?
And I don't know. There's nothing clear on statistics. It's just how it is. So everybody in their work is going, wait a minute, like we were discussing prior. In California, there's a recall on the governor. Well, prior to the recall, getting enough signatures, everything is locked down and our numbers are awful, especially Los Angeles, terrible. And then they got close to 1 million signatures and he went, well, fuck it, let's open everything up. The numbers are great. So just trying to appease people so they'll come back and love them. But maybe he's right. Maybe the numbers did get better. I doubt it, but that's the misinformation that we're getting here.
Is that all? Do you reckon that's all stemmed from the previous president?
Yeah, well, it started there, but still, anything controlled by politicians or the federal government, it's just not going to happen. It's just wrong. It's going to be a mess.
So your vaccine you haven't even started the rollout with the vaccine yet, then, at all?
Well, there is, but nobody's really sure who's getting it. It seems like some people are getting it, and then they said, well, now it's available for people over 65, and that's wonderful for them. I'm happy for them. But they still haven't vaccinated all the people working in the hospitals.
What? What's going on?
No, there's still a lot of health workers and frontline workers that haven't been vaccinated yet, so they're working on that. And then they have appointments, so they're expecting people over 65 to go through a website and navigate a website designed by a government employee to figure out how to set an appointment and where to go to get their shot. So some of them can't figure it out, understandably. Some can't make it that day because they're old, and maybe they don't feel good or it's raining. Yeah. So then the vaccines just sit and rot, so they have to throw them away.
Oh, fuck,
so it's very, very unorganized. But that so much stuff is opening up here now. Not good.
Well, please stay safe, Ron. Please.
Oh, I am.
Good man.
I stay in this room. That's my secure door, so nobody can break in. If the vaccine gets in, I just leave the little hole open there because I know the COVID germ is too big to get in. Every once in a while, it pops up. It's like, let me in. I'm like, go away. It's like, I just want an autograph. Like, no, I don't believe you.
Just creeps this little person like that and like, come on, Ron, you must come and see.
You look like a COVID molecule. I'm not.
So
that sucks.
Yeah. So
like everybody.
You did more Power Rangers work, didn't you? You went back and did a couple more theme songs.
Disney called. They said, we want to get back to what it was. And so SPD, I was pretty amped, and SPD was banged that out in one afternoon, sent it, and they went. And the head of music there, a guy named Steve Vincent, goes, this is great. I'll get back to you because, of course, 10 people have to hear it. And then 10 people heard it, and he goes, absolutely love it. Only have one change. Could you just add some sirens? And I just went, sure. I called my friend who does sound effects that did Xmen and everything. And I said, need some sirens? He goes, in Dropbox now. And, or box.net, whatever we were using then, doesn't matter. And I had the sirens and popped them in, and it was done. Then the next year, he said, now we're doing Mystic Force, and we'd like to, the SPD response has been remarkable, and we'd like to do the same thing. So I wrote the rock version, and he heard it. He goes, it's great. And he called back and he said, it's done. It's done deal. Like on a Friday. And I said, he goes, so break out the stems. It's done. Great work. Which means you break out bass, drums, vocals, everything. So the mixer can go like, I'm going to lower that. I'm going to turn up the hi-hat. Yes. You give him some control. And then on Monday he called, he goes, I have some weird news. Some of the new producers are young, and they're really in the rap, and they've decided they want the theme to be rap. And I just said, oh boy.
Here comes Mighty Raw again.
Because you want to give it a try? Yeah. Yeah. Let me call the Mighty Raw. So I said, I'm going to try it, but I don't think it's going to work. And I sent it off to him, and he said, yeah, you're right.
It's not going to work.
I said, yeah, I didn't expect that. Is there anything we can do to convince these guys this will be one of the worst moves ever made for a theme on this show? And he goes, no, there's nothing I could do. And so they went with rap.
I can't
so
remember.
I released, now I had announced like on Ranger board that the Mystic Force theme, I'd gotten the new one and it was great. I couldn't play it yet, but once they said you're rejected, I said, well, here's what I'd done. And then they wanted rap. I said, and so here's the rap one. Don't make any comments on this. I know it's not good. And then everybody started bombarding Disney with email, them saying, why aren't you using Wasserman's rock theme? And then Disney called me very upset because I'd embarrassed them.
Wait, what?
I posted the theme, the rock theme.
Oh.
And people loved it. They forgave me for the rap one. People were like, yeah, I like the hi-hat. It's okay. But then they went after Disney, and then Disney was embarrassed, and then Disney said, you can't post that stuff. And I said, yeah, I can. I own it. And it's not disclosing. I mean, everybody knows the show's going to be called Mystic Force. I'm not giving away any I don't even know the secrets. I mean, it's not. So that annoyed Disney a bit, and but I didn't mind that ending because I figured they're losing their minds anyways, and Disney is widely known as a rather abusive company. So I had no problem. If it was Spielberg, I would have said, you're right, I'm taking it right down. I'm sorry. It's a huge mistake. I've made a mistake. But when you want rap on Power Rangers, chances are your television division is not going to be doing well for the next several years. And it didn't.
Shock.
The film division is where everything did well.
Very much. Yeah.
So no loss there. I'm sure it's all water under the bridge now, but that's what happened with that. But that SPD theme was great. I like that better than the original theme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's there's something that's just so much energy about it. And then the very last time I say SPD, because the vocals are stacked, it sounds like STD, which I always thought was funny as shit. And now that I've told you that, when you listen, it's the last time I sing it, you're going to go, It sounds like STD.
Okay.
I'm gonna go listen to that after this. Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it. Thanks, man.
So we had morphine Power Rangers. Morphine. And then we have, they've moved on and now they have STDs.
Just they're fighting puppies and scratching every
Yeah, I
time.
can see them.
Oh
God.
no.
Gotta go blow up gonorrhea. G-O-N. That would be great.
Just gonna see next year you release an album just full of songs.
I should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh fuck.
We'd have Alpha. Alpha could be herpes.
Yeah.
Ay.
Exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, final figure of the Power Rangers. We'll move on from there. Is in 2012 you recut your original songs and released them as a redux.
Yeah.
How and why did that come about? How come you decided to do that?
I wasn't sure that I could sing that stuff anymore. So I thought for fun, I think I'd bought some new guitar sounds for, again, everything was always done on keyboard. And I went, I'm going to take a verse and a chorus and just quickly record it in and see if I could still do those vocals. And I did it and I went, wow, that's pretty good. And then I stacked it and I did the harmonies and I went, I can do it. So I'm going to do the whole song. So I did it because the original masters are gone. When Disney bought Saban, they either got destroyed or lost. All the show masters, all the splits, all the mixes, everything's gone.
Shit.
It doesn't exist anymore. So nobody could ever go back in and digitally, they could take the stereo mix and tweak it up a little bit, but nobody can ever go back and remix the shows with modern technology, which is terrible, but that's it. So I figured I'd go back and re-record them. And once I finished the theme, and I think I posted a clip, and then I decided, well, shit, I'll go do everything else that I'm allowed to do under law, because even though I'm a writer, I'm not allowed to cover stuff unless it was released as an audio-only product. So
Okay.
I did all that, and it was really fun. I think it took 2 or 3 months.
It sounds.
I was working on other stuff, and I finally got those harmonies right, maybe with a little assistance.
And it sounds incredible.
I did
so
it for
good.
fun. Oh,
I
thanks.
love that.
I did it for fun. And
That's
then
awesome.
people started thinking that it had only been remastered. They're like, this is just the original stuff remastered. It's like, the guitars are different. The solos are different. When you remaster, it doesn't change the guitar solo. So I was that close. So I was kind of like, yeah, I still got it. Yeah, I sound exactly like I did back then. I'm gonna go get me some hookers.
So it's safe to say you've done so much TV work. Like I think I saw 67 composer credits on your IMDb or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So how is it you get these roles in? Is it studios approaching you, or do you like send in demos to apply for things, or
All word of mouth. That's how this business works. Nobody
incredible.
advertises. You can send in stuff till you're blue in the face. The only way you're going to be sending in stuff is because you have a friend there that's got some clout that can get to whoever makes the decisions and then get you in. That's it. Never had an agent. And I'm not boasting about it. Everybody I know that's had an agent, they hate their agents. Like all he does, I find a gig and I call him. And he's like, cool, I'll take 10%. What did you negotiate with them? I mean, it's not bad. I'm sure there's some good ones out there, but there's just, I've never needed it. So it's always just been the phone rings. Yeah, that happened in 2010. A friend called, long story short, ended up doing the show with Betty White called Hot in Cleveland, which had like a 5 million viewers on this station TV Land out here, but TV Land had never done original programming, so they didn't know how to get it out make it big in the rest of the world. They just weren't experienced with it. But we did 130 episodes, and then there was 3 other sitcoms I did with that network. And it was all from hanging out, and the exec would come by and say, hey, we're doing another show. Call me Monday and we'll have you do it. It's that simple.
That's amazing.
That's how it works.
Have there been any TV shows where you watch or listen to and you go, I could do that better. I know what I'd do with that show.
Yeah, a lot of Netflix stuff. It's true. I'll be watching some. Now, some I watch like Vikings. No, that's actually Amazon Prime. No, it's AMC. I've watched that, and I think that is damn well nearly perfect scoring. I mean, it's really done well. But there's other things I'll watch. I'm like, oh, I have to go to that sound again for when they're running. I mean, as this has just been beat to fucking death already. But it's not the composer's fault. Sometimes the composer may walk in and say, so I'm thinking of this very cool synthy Trent Reznor type thing, and the producer will go, yeah, I'm open to that. I was thinking maybe like a timpani and a cello. Oh my God, we're universes apart, but you're the boss. Like, well, that's a good idea too. Trent Reznor certainly has used a timpani and a cello, so I'll use that. Yeah, sometimes you get constantly remolded into what they want. And I've had times with producers where I said, how about I just hand you my hands and you just do what you want, because you don't really need my brain. I feel like I'm taking dictation sometimes. Pretty rare that that's happened, but there are times you just throw up your hands and just go, just tell me what you want. Yeah, I'll just do it.
I can imagine. So there's a wide range of products you've done, like kids shows, reality TV, drama. There's absolutely tons on there. So what is it you look for in a project to want to get involved? Or is it a case of, there's a lot of zeros on that contract?
No, because that doesn't happen. That just doesn't. Unless you're one in film and you're one of the 5 guys. And if you're Hans Zimmer, that's the first thing he's probably like, Dunkirk, Schmunkirk, what's am I getting paid? And then he goes and then the contract's negotiated. He's like, okay, I need a story on how I worked on this, because he has a bunch of composers at his place, which he treats well, and they actually get credit, and they eventually grow up in the composer world and make a name, and they leave, and some of them become huge. But he's the front guy. But what brings me in is I kind of always have a gut feeling if something's going to be a disaster. So there's certain times I've just gone, I don't think I'm your guy. And it's really more because even if it seems interesting, it's already not good.
Yeah.
If it's not good at the beginning, I mean, things can be pretty good and get great, but if it's really not good at the beginning. So I've only ever thought about what can I contribute, and how will this be perceived? How's it being managed? That's really what it comes down to. And it hasn't happened that much, where there's only really been one show that a partner and I took back then. We were working together, and that was one of those TV Land shows, and it was called Retired at 35. And we would get a cut, and it was a sitcom, and it was funny. And they'd go, don't score anything to this, we're editing it. And they would literally cut out the funny parts. And at one part, I went up to the network guys, I go, this show's like a tax write-off or something, like you're trying to destroy it and lose money. I mean, because there was a funny bit in there and you removed it. And it turned out that wasn't true. It turns out the producer was just a comedy producer. He was just lost his mind or something. He just second guessing and this and that. That was a tough one. So we hated working on that. But it went 2 seasons, so we ended up doing like 40 episodes. It was pretty shocking. So that's the only one I've ever done where, okay, let's just get through this as quickly as possible so we don't have to look at this show. It's terrible.
So when it comes to doing TV themes, do you get to watch some of the show beforehand to get an idea for what it is, or do you basically just go, "Oh, it's a comedy. Let's try this"?
It depends. Not much. Usually they'll send me a 2-page description and say, we have no idea. And then sometimes they'll say, well, the producers like these 10 pop songs. And you'll say, well, there's Metallica in there and there's George Gershwin in there. That's pretty widespread. So kind of what are they into? It's like, we don't really know. Just do what you want. And then most of the time they're, especially on reality TV, no matter what you deliver, they've heard something between Thursday when you deliver it and Friday afternoon. And those types of themes I haven't been getting lately because there's somebody else that's just assembling pre-made loops like a DJ. And then they're going like, that's a great theme. Like, I have those same samples. I don't use them because you're just pasting together other people's work. I mean, if you want to use the drums, okay, but it's literally somebody else's work here. So it's hard to compete with that. Or sometimes I hear what they picked and I'm like, that's horrible. So it could be, my sister's son, he got a Mac, he's got GarageBand, she's driving me fucking crazy, I'll take his theme. You never know.
So are there any projects you're working on at the moment that you can, or got coming up that you're allowed to talk about? That you're excited
Yeah, the
for?
video game called The Next World. It was called The Nothing. There's too much trouble with that title. So The Nothing is now chapter 1 of this. And it's a guy I met on Facebook years ago. He contacted me about Fisher stuff. And he's like this, I guess he'd be like Steve Wozniak that worked with Steve Jobs at Apple. He's the mad scientist. So he writes software for like all the recycling stuff in LA, and then ATMs all over the country, and then stuff for Wall Street. And he's opened a gym, and he's opening up a like skincare clinic, and he writes code. He quit school, I think at 12 or 13, because he started making a bunch of money writing code for architects. So he decided to do his own RPG game, full blown. And we were moving along, and in a year and a half, he goes, I hate it. I deleted the whole thing. I'm starting over.
What?
And it's becoming this incredible thing. And it's going to release in October of this year. So if he doesn't, I would kill him. So I've done about 8 hours of score for that with a couple hours more to put in.
Wow.
A lot of it is long form. So it's not like you have, it's background stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to stay out of the way of the frequencies of people screaming and getting their heads blowing off, and all the gunshots and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
So it's just kind of keeping a little energy going underneath without getting on anybody's nerves. So that's really the biggest thing. And the other things are some cable reality shows, which aren't even really worth talking about.
I love your honesty, Ron. I absolutely
do. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's shit.
I'm sure they're fine, but another one just got picked up for season 2, and I just went. I really thought I didn't know they aired all of season 1. Okay, I'll do some more.
I think I did see a couple of projects. I think one of them was like Real Housewives of New York or something. I was like,
yeah.
How do you go from Power Rangers and VR Troopers and stuff to the Real Housewives of New York?
One of the producers, the post-production head of post-production on Power Rangers at Saban, ended up at a Warner Brothers company. And around 2009, he said, I do a ton of reality TV. Interested? And I said, sure. And so on days where I wasn't really busy before that time where I had 5 sitcoms running at once, he'd just say, I don't know, they're looking for some happy stuff for Super Nanny. Like, okay, just do it. Into the machine it goes. The editors are like, I love this. Do some more like this. All right. I mean, it's kind of, you're not really connected in any way to it. You just kind of upload it and go, here's what you're looking for. And they write back, that's great. Do more like this. And you send it, and it's weird.
It's amazing.
But that's how it's because of that guy, because I'm friends with him. And he just said, you want to do something? Like, sure.
Definitely who you know.
It really does seem to be a business of who you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Tom, have you got any more questions, my friend?
No, I just want to say, Ron, thank you so much for being an absolute legend, hero, and just being so much fun. I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Really
Yeah, this was fun.
So before we get out of it, we like to play a little game with our guests. It's called the quick fire round. It's 6 questions. You just answer them as quick as you can. It's as simple as that. We like to have a bit of fun with this. Oh, look at that. He's getting himself prepared.
I'm going to fuck this up.
No, you're not.
Smash it.
Right.
Smash.
Question 1. Your favourite Muppet?
Kermit.
Good answer. Your favourite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Good answer.
Good
Your
job.
first ever concert you went to?
Steve Hackett from Genesis. He was playing at the Roxy on Sunset Boulevard with his brother. So I went to see Steve Hackett at the Roxy.
Nice.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. That was great.
Who would
What's that?
Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Brad Pitt.
Good answer.
Yeah, nailed that. Nailed it.
Your favourite superhero?
It was Superman. It was always Superman.
Always Superman. And the last one, advice you would give to younger Ron?
Don't take everything so seriously.
Great
Nice.
answer. Great
That's
answer.
great.
That's really the good thing. I stressed out about a bunch of stuff that I could have never changed, and worrying about it did nothing if things turned out good or bad. Waste of energy.
Perfect answer. And one we've had quite a few times as well. Stop stressing.
Yeah. Calm the fuck down.
Ron, this has been incredible. So much fun.
That was great.
Before we get out of it, is there any social medias, any websites, anything like that you want to plug, get people to check out?
Oh, if anybody, I'm on Facebook, and you can tell it's me because I've got that little blue check, and then ronw.com, RONW.com. Since nobody can pronounce my last name right, including my dad even taught it to me wrong. He didn't know how to say our last name. I'm like, what's our last name? He's like, I don't know, Wasserman something. It's got ass in it.
Oh, what a legend. Again, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for doing
That was
this,
great. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. You have a good day.
Enjoy the rest of
Everybody
your day.
stay safe. You guys just stay safe. I hear there's a vaccine. I know we're getting close. Maybe you guys will probably be back to business as normal while we're still, I don't know what happened here.
Well, that's not the case. Let's hope that's not the case.
Let's hope it's not the case now.
I know, but I mean, really, you're so close. So stay safe.
And
You got
my
to.
friend. But you've got that COVID door to help you anyway, so you're fine.
I do, but now I have to go outside of it so I can have an egg or something. So I hope he's not out there waiting for his name. Herbert. Herbert, the COVID molecule. Kind of catchy.
It's a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Kind of a weird name for a virus.
You did it by the end of the day, now you've got that in your head, you can have a jingle and everything written.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. All right, you guys have a wonderful day.
Wonderful. Have a great day,
Take care,
my
Ron.
friend.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
talk to you
See you
soon.
later.
Bye.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.